Have you ever felt like the smartest person in the room, only to realize that the room itself just doesn't seem built for you? Maybe it's that sense of invisibility when you speak, or the exhausting feeling that you're always running ahead of everyone else in thought and feeling. If you're watching this, chances are you already recognize this experience deep down. Being highly intelligent is a gift, but it also brings a social problem that's rarely talked about openly. It isolates you. It makes connecting with others harder than it seems for most people. It weighs on you like carrying a secret language or an invisible weight. So let's talk about this, you and me. I want to describe this problem with honesty, share examples you'll recognize, and above all, offer solutions to lighten this burden, because it doesn't have to be your destiny. When your mind moves too fast for others, they see you as complicated. One of the most common struggles you face is how fast your mind works. While others might need time to grasp an idea, your thoughts leap and connect instantly. You might be in a conversation where a point is still unfolding, and your mind has already jumped ahead to related concepts, possibilities, or objections. Imagine this scene. You excitedly share your insights, only to see puzzled looks, polite nods, or worse, people telling you to slow down or accusing you of overthinking. Suddenly, your brilliance feels like a barrier, not a bridge. This isn't just a personal complaint. Psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski, known for his theory of overexcitabilities, studied gifted individuals who experience intellectual stimulation more intensely. He showed that such minds don't merely process information, they race through it, constantly seeking patterns, meanings, and depth. This is your brain's default setting, but the world around you often expects a slower pace. Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, described a similar challenge in his idea of individuation, the process of becoming your true self, which often feels lonely. Jung argued that as you develop deeper self-awareness and understanding, you naturally diverge from the collective consciousness, which prefers simpler narratives and familiar rhythms. But here's the key. Your speed of thought is a strength, not a flaw. The solution is learning how to translate your ideas into smaller, slower steps that others can follow without losing the essence. Practice patience. When you speak, try to pause, give space for others to catch up, and invite questions. This is empathy in action, not watering down, but sharing in a way that invites connection. Also, find your tribe. Look for communities, clubs, or online spaces where others think and talk at your pace. Those environments become sanctuaries where you can breathe without constantly editing yourself. The heavy burden of emotional awareness, feeling what others don't. It's not just your intellect that sets you apart, it's your sensitivity. You pick up on moods, tensions, and feelings that others miss or avoid. You might feel the undercurrent of discomfort in a casual conversation or the quiet despair behind a smile. Clinical psychologist Elaine Aron coined the term highly sensitive person, HSP, to describe those who experience emotions and sensory stimuli more deeply. For HSPs, the world is a vivid mosaic of feelings, intense, layered, and sometimes overwhelming. This heightened awareness means you often carry more emotional weight. When the news shows stories of suffering or injustice, you don't just understand them intellectually, you feel them deeply. Existential psychologist Rollo May wrote about the dread of awareness, the anxiety that comes from being awake to the realities others may ignore. For you, this dread is constant because you can't switch off your empathy. So what can you do with this heaviness? First, protect your energy. Know that it's okay to step back, to take breaks from social media, news, or crowded spaces. Practice mindfulness or meditation to calm your nervous system. Nature is a natural healer. Spending time outside can ground you when emotions spiral. Second, transform your empathy into action. Channel it through art, writing, volunteering, or meaningful conversations. Rollo May reminded us that anxiety isn't a dead end. It's a signal to find purpose. Your sensitivity is a gift that can drive positive change if you nurture it wisely. The isolation of misunderstanding, when being too different pushes people away. Have you felt misunderstood so often that you hesitate to share your true thoughts? That tendency to withdraw is common among highly intelligent people. You might notice that people either dismiss your ideas as too much or feel intimidated by your depth. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche spoke about the loneliness of the great thinker, explaining that truly original ideas often come with isolation because they challenge conventional beliefs. For Nietzsche, the genius stands apart, not just by intellect, but by courage to be different. Psychologist Carl Jung, a pioneer of humanistic psychology, emphasized the need for unconditional, positive regard, accepting people as they are without judgment. When you don't experience this from others, you naturally close off parts of yourself to avoid rejection. What's the remedy? Create safe spaces for yourself. Start by being kind to your own uniqueness. Self-acceptance is the first step to opening up. Then seek or build relationships based on genuine curiosity and acceptance. You don't have to fit the mold, but finding just a few people who celebrate your differences can make all the difference. Practice vulnerability gradually. Sharing one small truth about yourself can invite others to do the same, breaking down walls over time. The pressure of perfectionism and high expectations. Intelligence often comes with a double-edged sword, the internal pressure to be perfect, to know everything, to solve every problem. You might find yourself setting impossibly high standards, then feeling crushed by them. Alfred Adler, a foundational figure in psychology, noted that perfectionism can stem from feelings of inferiority masked by a drive for superiority. This can create a constant inner battle, a fear of failure, mixed with a compulsion to prove yourself. Existential philosopher Søren Kierkegaard explored anxiety as the dizziness of freedom, the paralyzing awareness that you alone choose your path and bear its consequences. For the highly intelligent, this anxiety can be magnified by the awareness of options and possibilities. How do you break free? Start by redefining what success means for you. Embrace good enough rather than perfect. Practice self-compassion as Kristin Neff describes, a way of treating yourself as you would a close friend. Allow yourself to make mistakes and see them as learning, not failure. Remember Kierkegaard's insight that anxiety is the price of freedom, but also the doorway to authentic living. The challenge of emotional connection, when intelligence creates distance. You might find it hard to form deep emotional bonds, not because you don't want connection, but because the gap between your inner world and others often feels wide. Sometimes your logical mind clashes with the messy emotions around you, and you retreat to avoid misunderstandings. Psychiatrist and philosopher Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, emphasized the human search for meaning as central to connection. For Frankl, suffering and intelligence gain value when they help you find purpose. So if connection feels difficult, maybe it's time to look beyond intellectual affinity. Try opening up through shared experiences, music, art, humor, or even simple presence without words. Solutions? Practice active listening with curiosity, not judgment. Let go of the need to fix others with your intellect, and instead share the space emotionally. Explore your emotional side with tools like journaling or therapy. Viktor Frankl's work reminds us that meaning is created in relationship, and sometimes vulnerability bridges the biggest gaps. Conclusion: embracing your intelligence without losing yourself. Being highly intelligent brings incredible gifts and real social challenges. You may feel isolated, misunderstood, overwhelmed, or pressured. But you're not alone. Many thinkers, philosophers, and psychologists have explored these very struggles and offer wisdom to guide you. By learning to slow down your communication, protecting your emotional energy, embracing your uniqueness, releasing perfectionism, and opening to emotional connection, you can transform isolation into belonging. Remember Carl Jung's words: loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. The path forward is not to hide your intelligence, but to share it wisely, with patience and empathy, for others and for yourself. You belong in this world exactly as you are.